So the teacher that I interviewed was Joyce Rockwood. She actually just recently retired this year, but she still taught for about 31 years. So this is just a little bit of background about her. If you wanted to look at that, she was a first through third grade teacher for 31 years at Elmer Wolf. So these are the questions that I asked her. This is just a little overview of how this PowerPoint works. If you liked any of the questions specifically, you could click on any of the hearts. It'll take you directly to the answers. And then you can hit the question button and it'll take you right back to the questions. However, I'm just going to go over all the questions and answers. So the first question that I asked her was, were you expecting to have any students with disabilities in the regular education classroom? Because she is just a regular education teacher. She said she was definitely expecting to have these students because as being a regular education teacher, she understood that students with IEPs had to be in an LRE. Um, she did not expect how much it would change over the course of her career. So there are a lot of standards and differences over the course of her career, such as students being placed in her classroom that she was not expecting over a period of time. And she definitely had a lot of professional developments, and she had a lot of teachers help her that were coming in that were younger and they had taken courses that could give her a lot of advice. So the next question that I asked her is, what is one of the hardest disabilities that you encountered in the classroom? And that was actually this past year that she taught, and it was a student with Down syndrome. She said that a lot of factors were at play with this, so COVID, virtual learning, the disability itself, and she said that the student's one-on-one was actually very difficult, so she babied her a lot. She would carry her around from class to class. She didn't really push her very hard to be independent. She did say that she did everything that she possibly could, and she just felt like she was very ineffective for this student. She did also additionally say that students with trauma backgrounds, no matter whether they had an IEP or not, they were just the most heartbreaking for her, and she never knew how to approach them very well. So, what are some of your favorite ways that you accommodated it in the classroom? She very much liked to de-escalate the situation. That was always her first approach. So sometimes she would just reach out to the support teacher. She had a quiet corner in her classroom. She let students take a break in the hall with some kind of fidget. And she did a couple of other activities, but those were some of her top ones. She really liked visual cues. So she had cards. She did kind of hand warnings and stuff like that. And throughout her school, they had success charts for behavior. So they had reminders and warnings built into it. And the rewards were immediately attainable. So any student with IEPs, they use these success charts. And if they got so many of the goals attained throughout the day, then they would work towards their goal and they would work on reminders throughout it. So it would be basically a check or an X throughout the day. What ways did you change instruction in your classroom? So she said that the instruction in class material had to be changed every single year. It depended on what group of students she had. Different groups were available for different students. So if one student wasn't working very well, she would change up her grouping. And the biggest thing that I had to change in my classroom was moving group times around. So she said that a lot of times, especially with COVID, because of timing changing a lot, she had to accept the fact that some of her students would not be in her classroom for certain periods of time and different days because of the support teacher needing them. And she just had to figure out how her instruction would work around that. She wanted to make sure that her students would be in her class when necessary. So she had to work very well with the support teacher during that period. And do you have any tips for general education teachers with this, for general educators for teaching students with disabilities? Sorry. She said to communicate with everyone on your team to make sure that the support teacher is working with the students on things that line up with what you're teaching. So she said it's very important to make sure that every topic that you're teaching, the support teacher is teaching, and vice versa, because there can be a lot of confusion if you're not doing that. Um, she said that one thing that she really struggled with all throughout her career is keeping everybody on the same page during testing. So a lot of her IEPs involved having students out of the classroom during testing and in a enclosed classroom, and she always forgot to talk to the support teacher about her testing days. She said to be flexible, so students will often leave the classroom for different reasons and be prepared and ready to accommodate for that, such as what I said on the previous slide of students needing to leave because they have different support meetings, they have different things that they have to do with teachers, and you have to be ready that they're not going to be in the classroom. And most importantly, you're not alone. She said it feels very scary and lonely, and never be embarrassed to ask for help when you need it. She said a lot of times, especially as an older teacher, she felt like she needed to know everything, but after a while, she accepted that she didn't. And when she accepted that, it made everything a lot easier because there were a lot of people that knew answers to questions that she didn't, and it made her feel a lot more confident. So that is it. And that is the interview with Joyce Rockwood. Thank you.